All right, our next teller is Stas, who some of you know. He comes to us from Little Rock, Arkansas, or just outside of Little Rock. Fairfield, I'm sorry. And tonight he's going to share with you a story of Big Klaus and Little Klaus.
There were two men with the same name in the same town. They lived next to each other. One was called Big Klaus. The other one was Little Klaus. Big Klaus was a large man, not too bright, and he owned lots of property and 4 horses. Little Klaus was a kind of small fellow and pretty quick mind. He had only 1 horse. Well, they had an arrangement. During the week, Big Klaus would use Little Klaus's 1 horse to do work around his farm. On Sundays, Little Klaus would borrow Big Klaus's 4 horses and put them in a little corral that was right on the edge of the road. And when people were going by to Sunday services or coming from Sunday services, Little Klaus would sit on the fence and brag about his 5 horses. And Big Klaus hated that. Finally, one day, Big Klaus said to him, "Little Klaus, if I ever hear you say that again, you'll be sorry." The very next Sunday, Little Klaus was perched up on the railing of his fence and telling people as they went by, "See all my 5 wonderful horses." And Big Klaus stormed across the little road and said, "Now you're sorry." He had with him a sledgehammer. He went into the field, got Little Klaus's 1 horse, and killed it. Little Klaus was very inventive. He was upset for a little bit, but then he thought, well, I can skin that horse, use the meat, and maybe I can sell the skin after I dry it. So that's what he did. He skinned the horse, he dried the skin, and once it was completely dry, he put it into a canvas bag and made his way towards another town where people didn't know him. On his way, a storm came up. It was a terrible storm. He hid in the woods. He got wet. He got scared. He wound up staying all day trying to hide from this storm until near evening, when the storm broke. He was lost. He looked off and he saw a light. It was a farmhouse. He made his way to the house, and there was a window that he could see through, and in the house he saw 2 people who seemed to be having a really good time. The table was set with lots of food. There were 3 bottles of wine on the table, and only one of them had been opened, and he could barely hear them talking. He knocked on the door, and when the woman came to the door, he tried to explain to her very quickly that he needed shelter. He was cold, he was wet, and it was dark, and he wasn't sure he could find his way home until daylight. And before he could get any of that out, she said, "Go away, go away, go away." Slammed the door in his face. Well, he didn't know what to do at first, but he found a little bit of shelter next to a shed, standing there wondering what his plan would be next, when he heard an animal walking up the lane towards the house. And he saw the farmer who owned the house coming home leading a donkey. Well, the farmer looked up and saw this little man standing there with a sack over his shoulder and said, "Who are you?" Little Klaus explained, "My name is Little Klaus, and I was on my way to town. I have this thing to sell, and I was going to ask for shelter for the night." And the farmer immediately said, "Well, I'm home earlier than my wife expects, and certainly if you help me with the donkey and get things ready in the barn, you can spend the night." So while this was going on, the wife and her brother, who the farmer hated, were quickly straightening up the kitchen, putting the food in cupboards, in cabinets, and into the oven. putting the wine away. The wife said, "You have to hide. My husband hates you. There's no way out now. They're right outside. Go hide under the bed." And he said, no, if I hide under the bed, he'll find me. I can't get out. Well, I have it. Get in the wood box. There was a large wood box for the fireplace. So they opened the wood box, emptied what little bit of wood was left there, put it near the fireplace. The brother got into the wood box. They closed the box. Just then the farmer came in. "Wife, we have a guest for the evening." She said, "Oh, hi, welcome, you're home early." She finally fixed him some gruel, and the guests, they sat at the table, and little Klaus did not like the gruel they were eating. He was wondering what was going on, but he had an idea. His bag was at his feet near the table, so he kicked the bag a couple times, and it made a scritchy noise. The farmer said, "What was that?" And little Klaus said, "That's what I'm taking to town to sell. It's my conjurer." And he said, "What?" "It's my conjurer. He tells me things sometimes, and sometimes he is right and sometimes not." And he said, "Ask him to tell us something." So little Klaus kicked the bag, and he said, "Oh, he says there's better food than this in the house if we would only find it." And the farmer looks and says, "What?" "Ask him where." "In the oven, and in the cupboard, and wine in the cabinet." Well, the farmer got up, they started pulling out the food and the wine, and they started to eat, and the wife was so shocked. "I don't know where that food came from. The conjurer must have put it there." So they had a great meal. They finished the first bottle of wine, finished the second bottle of wine. We're having a really good time. And the farmer at once said, "Can the conjurer make anything happen?" "Well, different things. Sometimes I'm disappointed, but sometimes he can." Let's see. You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Old Scratch. And little Klaus said, he looked at that wood box. He said, "Well, he might be able to make Old Scratch appear, but in a home of good people like you, he wouldn't look like himself. He would look like someone that you really didn't like." "Oh." Well, the farmer said, "Well, that's okay. Ask him to do it." He said, "He's here." "Where? I don't see him." "He's in the wood box." So the farmer said, "Can we go and look?" "Yes, but we have to do it quickly because we don't want him to get out." So they went to the wood box. The farmer grabbed the top. Little Klaus grabbed the side of it. He said, "I'm going to count to 3. At 3, lift it up, take a quick look, and close it. 1, 2, 3. They lifted up. "Ah! He looks like my brother-in-law!" Slammed it down. He found a screwdriver and put it into the hat so the thing couldn't get out. They went and finished the third bottle of wine. He said, "Little Klaus, you were going to sell the bag, weren't you?" "Yes." "Well, will you sell it to me?" "Why do you want it?" "Oh, there are a lot of things I'd like to see." You might be disappointed." No, I'm convinced. I'll make a deal with you." And he said very quietly, "My wife doesn't know, but I have a whole bag of gold put aside. I will give you the bag of gold for your conjurer. But you have to take the box and get rid of it." And little Klaus said, "Well, he might be gone when you go to sleep." I said, "I don't care. I don't want the box here either." Okay, so daylight was about to break. The farmer helped little Klaus put the wood box into a wheelbarrow, gave him the bag of gold, and off little Klaus went, reminding the farmer that you may be disappointed sometime. Don't worry, I don't care. I'm happy. Off he went. Little Klaus began singing, "Well, I made some money. I think I'll just dump this box in the river." And he was approaching the Bells Mills Bridge. And in the box The brother-in-law started saying, no, 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 stop. I'm not Old Scratch, stop. I will give you a bag of gold if you let me out. I live just down the road past the bridge. Where is your gold? I'll get it for you when you let me out. Oh, no, I'll take you to your house. You tell me where it is. I'll get the gold, then I'll let you out. So that's what they did. He took him to the house. Little Klaus went in, got the gold, came back out, opened the box, let him go. He went home. As he was walking to his house, Big Klaus said, what do you have there? 2 bags of gold. Where did you get 2 bags of gold? Remember the horse of mine you killed? I skinned it. I dried out the skin. I made a deal. Where? Well, I was going to the other town, but before he could even finish his story, Big Klaus went, got his sledgehammer, killed all 4 of his horses. He skinned them. He dried the skins. When they were all dry, he headed off to town. Well, when he got to the next town, he was run out for being a crazy man, trying to sell 4 skins from horses for bags of gold. On his way home, the dim bulb kind of appeared to him, and he knew he had been tricked. He stopped at his house. He got a large canvas bag. He went to Little Klaus's house and beat on the door. When Little Klaus opened the door, he grabbed him and stuffed him in the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and he headed up the road. He was going to go to the Great Mills Bridge, and he was going to throw Little Klaus into the river. Well, on his way there, he passed the Sewickley Presbyterian Church. And they were having some kind of choir practice. Well, Big Klaus was a little bit slow, but he loved hymns. And he looked around, there was nobody on the road. So he tied the top of that canvas bag very tightly and tied it to a post. And said, Little Klaus, I'm going to throw you in the river, but first, I'm going in to hear the hymns. And he went in to hear the hymns. As soon as he went in the door, Little Klaus sat in the bag wondering, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? And he heard some noises. It sounded like horses or cattle or something. Down the road came a very, very, very old, tired man. And he was moaning out loud, saying, I wish I was dead. I'm too old to do this. I'd never get sick, but I'm tired of living. I would just like to die and go to heaven and be finished with this life. And just as he got near that post with the bag, Little Klaus called out and said, I can help you with that problem. And the old man stopped and looked, and Little Klaus said, open the bag. We could make a deal. So he opened the bag, he looked, and Little Klaus got out and said, I'm young, I still want to live. If you're ready to go, I can arrange that, and it will happen very quickly. And the old man said, will you take care of my cattle? Of course I'll take care of your cattle. So the old man got in the bag, Little Klaus tied it up, tied it to the post, took the cattle off down the road. Big Klaus came out of the church, grabbed the bag, untied it, went to the bridge, tossed it in the river. Now I'm done with you, Little Klaus. Headed home. He was so excited about being rid of Little Klaus, he started to run. All of a sudden, he came around the curve, and there was Little Klaus leading a small herd of cattle. He ran up to him and said, how did you do that? I threw you in the river. And Little Klaus said, you won't believe this. You threw me in the river. The bag opened up, and there was maybe it was an angel, I don't know, but there was this person and said, Little Klaus, there are some cattle that need taking care of. Why don't you take them out of the river? And he said it was strange because I was under the river and it was like a road, and this person was very nice. So I got the cattle. And Big Klaus said, come with me. He went, dragged him, grabbed another bag, went to the bridge, and said, I'm going to get in this bag. I want you to tie it and throw it in the river. And little Klaus said, okay. And big Klaus said, but put a big rock in it also, because I don't want to take a chance. Tied it up, rolled him off the bridge. Just as he heard the splash, little Klaus turned and started home and said, I think he's going to be disappointed. Thank you very much.